financing, and of course, SCC and NCC talk about technology for inclusion. And all of these are very, very important when we're talking for the issue that we're discussing today, which has to do with economic and business recovery. Now, the first thing we need to appreciate is the fact that like of Nigeria is going through a transition. Unfortunately, most conversations that I have with people see them pining for the good old days when the P5 was 350 naira or 2,300 naira. The sooner we realize those days are gone, the better for us. In many respects, the Nigerian nation is one crying out for structural change. We've long depended on the subsidy regime for practically every sector. The health sector, moves on subsidy, education subsidy, even manufacturing, banking, power generation at every level. And it got so that by the end of last year, we breached the fiscal ceiling. I would not like to be too technical. I realize that most persons on the other side are, journalists and all of that. But I think at this stage, we need to have certain conversations. And for me, the first of us has to come from the government. The journey that we're on, what exactly is the destination? I think for many people, for many business persons, as much as we make a lot of cry and that about the foreign exchange, it's this and all of that. I think people would rather settle for a settled foreign exchange than one that is going up and down like a yo-yo. That's one thing. We need to have policy consistency. Of course, there's also the messaging, mixed messaging from the persons at the top making the decisions. On one level, AMPIN has to make a sacrifice. On the other level, I don't necessarily see the sacrifices that are happening on the other side of the table. And so when we're able to have this kind of congruence, then we can begin to talk about, a definite path towards business and economic recovery. We also need to interrogate the way we deal with the foreign financing. On one level, we are antagonistic towards the influence or the influx of Chinese money and other monies into Nigeria. On the other level, we also are crying out for some form of financing that the local economy is unable to make out on its own. And for me, I think there's as an economist, I understand the journey that we're in. Unfortunately, I don't think that communication is getting to the citizenry. And like I said, there's mixed messaging between, do as I say, not necessarily do as I do. So I think I'll give specifics to when, people have questions and answers that I could maybe need to solve on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I want to look at the Nigerian situation as we all know that we have economic challenge, but the question is, how do we get out of this challenge? What we have presently is a situation of inconsistency of policies. Recently, specifically yesterday, the Monetary Policy Committee met and reviewed some of the policies that will affect the economy. One of them is the monetary policy rate, which was raised to 27.25% from 26.75%. Some of these policies are double-edged sword that we need to be wary of. For example, when we raise the monetary policy rate, it's going to translate to higher interest rates, which will hurt the economy because it's going to negatively affect investment. How do we promote investment in such a situation? So the government has to be wary of this. And like Professor Akinleye said, are the policy makers, especially the political office holders, are they willing to sacrifice in order to achieve the economy that we all desire? It is this type of sacrifice that is leading to policy inconsistency and incongruence. That is why you have the fiscal policy being at variance with the monetary policy. So there is need to harness these two policies so as to be able to promote the growth that we are all desiring. Then now coming to energy. You've seen that energy is essential for development. But here we are focusing on electricity. There is a need for us to diversify energy if the economy is to sustain or is to improve. We can't continue to rely on electricity and especially on the national grid that is collapsing every time. So we need to look at energy diversification. Then also, we need to look at the way we see population in Nigeria. We see population as a liability. Most of the time we say we are too many. But are we as much as China? So population is actually a market which we are failed to harness in Nigeria. We have many of our people all over the world contributing positively. So what is the problem? Why are they not contributing here? I see a major lacuna, and that is that there is no direction as to what is our national goal. What do we want to achieve in Nigeria? Our brother from NASENI told us that Babangida started something, it was abandoned by subsequent governments until Jonathan came on board. That is the fact that we don't have a national goal. What is the goal? If we have one, is this accepted and subscribed to by all of us? So that tells us that communication is lacking. The leaders are not communicating with the led. Besides this, there is also the issue of trust. Do we believe in the policy that the governments are churning out? There is no matter how good the policy is, it has to work through the people. We are talking about monetary policy. Monetary policy will not work in isolation. You and I, we have to allow the policy to work through us. But if we don't believe in the policy, surely we are going to circumvent the policy. And that is what is really happening in Nigeria. Many good policies are here. But because people don't, the government does not the value of the people. So the policies are failing. It's these same policies that are implemented elsewhere and we are having success. But they are not successful in Nigeria because the people do not believe in the policy. So there is a need for communication between the leaders and the led so that the led can buy into the policy of the government. Transparency, accountability, honesty, very, very essential. All these are going to promote business development. Because if you don't believe in what the government is doing, if you don't believe that they are accountable, that they are responsible, that they are using the resources efficiently, then how do you ask me as a businessman to make sacrifice? A businessman in Nigeria will rather produce to export and earn foreign exchange than to be persuaded to sell the commodity in Nigeria because he does not believe in the government policy. So we really need to communicate so that policies can be effective. And I want to contribute to the issue of NASENI. There are a lot of potentials in Nigeria, but NASENI cannot sit in their office and ask innovators to come and showcase. You have to scout for innovation and innovators. They are bound in the society. Many of them are religious. They will not even access the website of NASENI. So NASENI must have few websites that will go out and identify innovations and innovators so that they can be brought under NASENI and the nation can benefit from it. I have a personal experience of a young boy in my area, very good in skill. He wasn't doing well in education in secondary school. So I told them, take him to a technical college. He went, he did 1 year, 2 years, and they said he failed English and physics. He was booted out of the college. And this is a potential innovator. He has done, if you bring him in here, he can work on virtually every gadget here. But this boy's talent is likely going to be wasted if nobody is ready to encourage him. So NASENI has to actually go to the field and bring out innovators. So productivity is also key to achieving the economic development and business growth. Productivity is low currently in Nigeria, and why? People have no hope. People have lost interest in Nigerian states. With this type of mindset, productivity will be low and we can't grow. The employers among us tell us that even in the private sector, how productive are the workers? Not to talk of public sectors. Now government is saying 2 days off from the office because of the idleness of transportation. This is an economy with low productivity. How do we get out of this quagmire? Thank you.
The still the board is taking to college and going to pass English and what I say, because the technical tracing hard the work artisans, so to say. So what is NASENI doing in that area in ensuring that people like that are in the system and ensure that they make impact in the community?
Thank you. In my paper presentation, that is where we have this innovation hubs. We believe the innovation hub is just an opportunity for people like the Prof mentioned to just come and display whatever. And that is why NASENI, even the act establishing NASENI, says that it should not be run under the civil service structure. That's why NASENI was created, exactly to harness this kind of people. Because if we are running under the civil service structure, that person, he doesn't have any entry point in the job space in NASENI. He doesn't, you would consider he's not a graduate, he's not how do you place him, how do you pay his salary or whatever you want to pay to him. So NASENI is one of the major reasons of creation is to create this enablement level for people. Where we have this innovation hubs is for people to just come and say, okay, this is what I can do. Whatever that person does, the engineers or whoever can take it up from that to say, okay, this is what was done and this is what was added. But we are trying to see, for example, we have almost about 20 states that we have carried out skill acquisition training for people of the various training of how to bring them up to the modern level of training. Because skill is also very scarce in this country. It might be there, but the real skill and integrity with that skill is something that is a bit scarce. So NASENI is working very hard to see that these innovation hubs are created around the country. That it's not a matter of people going to look for them. If it's in Lagos here, somebody in Lagos here or in one of the local government can easily walk in there and they say, this is what I can do and this how. So we are working toward, we are quite understand that some of them might not be able to access our website. But one thing that is very common in this country is the capacity of the youth in this country is beyond when you see their capacity. Some of these people, you think that they cannot access the website. They are even the people who are controlling the space in so many things that they do. You will be surprised the way they do things and the level at which they do things. So we are very mindful of the existence of this kind of people, and the agency is working with some of them, although we are still, because of the whatever we are doing with them, we still want it to germinate to make sure it's something that is, there are regulations. One of the problems we have also in this country is that there are regulations that are working, that have been stated for a very long time, that are not in line with the modern level of thinking in the society. So all those things, when you go into them, and then those regulations are not being relaxed, you are going against the law. And once you go against the law as a government agency, we should not be seen as going against the law. And some of the things also we are complaining of in this country are rooted in our laws. So many things that we can do. Even the government of the day, we wish to do it, but when you get to government and you see the rules and regulations guiding it, and the type of people who you need to support you to carry out these changes, are they ready? Like for example, now let's look at it. The Constitution says that we must have ministers in at least each state. Is it a reality? You think the government of the day wants to appoint all these line ministers? If they don't appoint it, don't you think they are going against an existing law? If they go back to the National Assembly, are your members which we elected to them, are they ready to sacrifice that? Okay, let's appoint one person from each region. Are they ready? Can they even go back to their own people and tell them to make sacrifice and let these people be appointed from this region to represent you? So it's not, no company is the government that does not, even we that were here, some of us that are here that are making statements about government. When you go to government and you see what it takes to be in government, you run back. Because you cannot go back now and say Lagos State should not have a minister, that Western Nigeria should have one minister to represent you. Then the question is that which part of Western Nigeria will So the crisis you go into doing so many things until we as citizens of this country are ready to tell ourselves the truth and ready to make a sacrifice for the nation before we can say it's very easy to criticize government. It's very easy. It's very easy. Whether somebody is competent or not, when you go to government, you say, okay, you don't have a representation of natural character or federal character. Maybe the people that can do this are coming from only one place. And you want this to be done. You dare not say that only them will go there. There is a law that says that you must obey federal character. And it also has punishment for not complying with it. Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you very much. We understand that banking of catalyze ongoing and very critical to economic recovery. I want to know the particular said in the progress in catalyzation and how we pass the economy with.
Thank you very much, Mr. I guess the first thing I would love to drop is the fact that the capital market is the engine room of the economic development of any nation.
Using which phone number to do what? Now, because people were not properly identified in the course of getting SIM cards, the NIMC came up with all Nigerians come and identify yourself as a Nigerian, come and have an identity. So, because we now have an identity, okay, for you to be able to identify who is doing what, since all of you want to own SIM, want to own making phone calls, go and link phone numbers with your name. Now, these are the reasons for this. If you have you agree with me that this program started in December 2020, when we said people should go and link SIM with their name. For close to 4 years now, some Nigerians for one reason or the other were still reluctant to link their SIM with their NIN. And we now have to put a deadline to it, which we have extended 3 times before the last extension, which started on the 14th of September. Now, the reason why we did that is if you fail to link your name with SIM, you are not entitled to communicate in Nigeria. So, if you link it, if you go as it has closed now, you can still go after it has closed. Go to the network operator, ask whatever they ask you to bring it. They will collect everything and your line will be open for you. It's not that it's closed that people cannot unbar their line. They can unbar those lines, but go and supply whatever information they ask you to supply so that they can open your line so that I can be using it. We just want all Nigerians that have identity to be really identified with their phone numbers with which they communicate. So it's not that it has been, if you are bad forever. No, you're not bad forever. You can still go there, they will open your life and you blink.
Sorry, a follow-up. Is SC addressing the issue around even obtaining your NIN? I've seen people in the last side there queuing to actually register to be identified with the NIN. Secondly, even with the NIN linkage, we are still finding so many insecurities in this country. We're not able to track using the NIN link to track bandits and terrorists. So when you are asking question, what is the essence of our linkage?
What I can say about this is this. For the SIM linkage, there are two basic categories of why your name and your SIM, or why after you have obtained your line, probably you have registered before, and you came back and they still buy it. We have categorized as both biometric and demographic. Biometric, if it has to do with your facial or your thumbprint, that's the biometric. If it's demographic, maybe the arrangement of your name. You agree with me that maybe by the time you went to the NIMC to register for your national ID, the order of arrangement of your name differs from the way you put it when you go to telecoms operator. That is demographic. Or maybe by the time you are registering your SIM, whatever, for whatever reason, your picture wasn't showing well, or your name, the name you used to register your SIM, is there from the face that is appearing when you got in front of them. You are deemed to be suspicious. So those are the reasons that when they were doing their verification on their database, they saw that what NIN was giving them was different from what the SIM information was giving them. That was what caused those problems. And that's why we are encouraging people, please, go to these guys, go and identify yourself properly. The only way they can validate it is your NIN identification should correlate with your SIM identification. So when you do that, they will definitely restore your life. Now, as for why we still have insecurity around, it is not really it's not an NCC or telecoms problem. There are so many shortcuts Nigerians use to do things. As we speak, we still find in some parts of Nigeria where it is not even only telephone numbers they use to communicate. They can use IP. Some still use Turaya technology. So it's not the best we can do is what we have instituted. But the problem is with the system itself. How people can circumvent the system to beat all these systems. The best we can do, okay, if you have been identified and you have been recognized, fine. But if you go to a territory, especially when we have all those insecurity areas, and people explore some other means of doing this, there are so many alternative means of communication apart from telecoms, but they can use telecom gadgets to still communicate. That's the issue we have. But what I want to encourage here is that first, let's endeavor to link our SIM with the name for proper identification. And when you see people trying to circumvent the system, let's encourage them that it's not the proper thing to do. Thank you.
I'm going to go back to the economics on the table because we're talking about recovery and we are seeing in the last regime or administration, let me call it that way, we have seen the major role in the economy, reforming the currency, and we know what it has called the system. How do you assess the present leadership of CBN in terms of their policy formulation? We have seen them publish on the MPR. We have seen them. We are not seeing a cognitive effect on the regulation of the banking system, which are the major transmission of their policy to the system. How do you assess the performance of the present leadership of CBN, Professor Omolara?
Thank you, the moderator. Looking at the leadership of the CBN presently, I think it's the same. They are also looking at the economy as it is and trying to be cautious in taking steps. For example, we need to ask, what is the overriding objective of the CBN? Are they interested in controlling inflation, or are they interested in achieving economic growth? Because the policy objectives sometimes contradict each other. As you are pursuing economic growth, you may have to tolerate some level of inflation. So the CBN, in conjunction with the political authority, must have a specific goal that they want to pursue. In the pursuing of that goal, some other things may suffer. But if you look at the Nigerian situation, our situation is precarious in the sense that we are already suffering from high inflation, low economic growth, poor indicators from all sectors. So this can put a CBN governor at a crossroads. What should be the priority? And I think that is probably why we are not, why to me, I can't see much activity because I can picture myself as having that problem of what is the goal that I actually want to pursue as a CBN governor. Yes, the government, the political authority must give a direction. As if we have an independent central bank, fine, they may define a goal if they have goal independence. But here in Nigeria, we don't have goal independence for the central bank. So the central bank governor cannot say this is what I want to pursue. He has to liaise with the political authority. The political authority itself is already facing some challenges. Some of the challenges can be self-inflicted, but there is also the problem with the lead. We don't have, there is no harmony in our thoughts. Many of us, we don't believe in the leaders. Perhaps as a result of our experience in the past, do we trust them? Even if they say this is what they want to do we believe? If you don't believe in them, there's no way they will deliver. It's not possible. Because it's a matter of mindset. We all have to have harmonious thoughts about the economy. How do we want the economy to go? That will direct all our actions. But since we don't have a common goal, it's difficult to deliver the kind of economy we want. So I don't know how we can achieve this, but I think there's need for dialogue between the led and the leaders. We need to dialogue on what we actually want as a nation. They are giving palliatives. You see, for arguments for and against. Who asked them to give palliatives? And some people say, these people, they are not even having human face. How do we balance the two? Yes, giving palliatives is good, but it can also be abused, just like Professor Akinleye said. Is there accountability? These are issues. So even as CBN governor, they are also having this challenge of what do we want to achieve as a nation? So I will score the CBN governor above 50, which is a pass mark. But I think we need to do more. Yes, it's a pass mark, but we need to do more. But doing more involves dialogue on the part of everybody. Everybody has a role to play. But leadership must give direction. What do we want to achieve as a nation? Thank you.
Professor Akinleye, I want this question is very critical for going forward. Our budget system. In the last couple of days, Boy IT has been making some revelation about this year budget. For example, we have seen a pandemic looking at $1 billion to renovate palaces, to build roads in other places and circulate bicycle. And I have seen what we call budget planning. We have seen research institute being allocated over billions of naira to Taro in Castina, or as it's located in West here, and do all sorts of things there. How do the government and reform the project in such a way that we can eliminate some of those leakages? Some of these money allocated to all these companies to do, for example, we are asking project to distribute rice to people in Bayelsa. If they are still they do how to reform the budget in such a way that we have a focus on economic recovery and development without this eliminating all these leakages where people take money from the system and lead to of city government borrowing to balance the budget. Then the same budget to be filtered away by National Assembly. So how do you think they can balance this to ensure that we have a focus on recovery and growth?
That's not an easy question. But I'll try to be, I don't think I'll say what people want to hear, but I'll try to walk a straight line. Budgeting, we first need to understand that preparing a budget is not the same as implementing a budget. And I know that for most budgets in Nigeria, implementation is about below 70% most years. Okay? And of course, when we talk and say as much as 30% of the money that will fund the budget is going to be borrowed, okay? You understand where we're coming from. And I don't think there's any political person, please. The ideal you're talking about is zero budgeting. We start from scratch. The process of budget preparation mostly is how much did you budget for water last year? 10 million, make it 12 million. How much did you budget for food? 15 million, make it 18 million. That is the truth. That's one. Again, you have to recognize that the budget preparation procedure must pass through a political process. And the political process is where much of this is done. And I'll speak from the other side. I know I can see your side and almost everybody's side, but I'll speak from the politician side. Now, I don't know if anybody lives in Suleiman, and you saw what Mr. Femi Jameelah achieved. What we're critiquing is how he was able to achieve practically everything that he achieved. I know he gave our campus a structure. I can't remember what it is. He gave us a hostel. In Suleiman, there's a police station, there's a hospital. There are roads that he did. He did it through the legislative process by including some of these under agency budgets. In the US, they call it PORK, P-O-R-K, where you use your power as a legislator to carry quote-unquote the dividends of democracy to money as being disbursed. But you cannot drive your car on the road. So if we become, like the man from NASENI said, we're all good at critiquing the government until we get to the government. Apologies, I'm going to face your order. The former minister, the current minister for digital economy, was a very strong critique of the government. He is a part of the government now. Has he done any magic? No, because we must work with the political process. So my take on this is not economics. It is human nature. If I get into power, you tell me you must do road. I mean, I'm campaigning, you ask me for road, you ask me for free education, you ask me for hospital. It's not my mandate. But if I don't give you some of these things, you will not return me. And I'm not going to use my money to do it. So the only other way for me is to say, look, these agencies are under my supervision. Do you want me to approve your budget last week? And madam will say yes. And I say, okay, the people in Badagry, now I'm going to give you a street in Badagry under your budget. It's not your money. But I need that vehicle to make it work. Like I said, we may not be popular, but this is the reality from the other side. So if we cannot change that, how do we change the way it affects us? By making sure that those projects are in the budget are indeed implemented and they do not disappear. I ask anybody, I don't want to mention the person, Senator Agama in Ikorodu has an innovation center. Please, if you can just Google it and see what it looks like. Then another senator from a certain place also came up with an innovation center. It was 1-2 rooms, and he called the senator something innovation center in another state. The same money, the same everything, but the outcomes are different. Thank you very much.
I come to the point from SEC. There is a regulation recently about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, which are the rest. Is it that Nigeria we are not accepted that we are going to play that space?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Before I respond to your question, I'd like to say a few things on what our two professors here said earlier. And I would like to start with the fact that this country has a long way to go. We can speak all the grammar here, but when we step out there, we all become Nigerians. Both those in government and those at the government. Because those in government today were part of us. That was an example of a minister of the Minister for Digital Economy who used to be a critic. Today is quiet because it's jumping. It's jumping. So if you look at it, no solution will come to us until we change our mindset. The disappearances of the rice trucks, the agri roads, and the decayed infrastructure that went in Nigeria is a result of a pervasive mindset of greed and corruption. Nobody cares about the other. But when you mention the agri road, I say yes. But you are not mentioning the police. It's the same thing, it's just that one is organized. You know what the organized private sector? That's the one that's organized private sector. And MSMEs. But for the police, they are the official admirals. Because you drive a truck of rice, for example, from here to a place like Abuja or Kaduna, be sure they are not going to take from Lagos. Will get to where it's going. They will collect. They will also collect money. They must find a reason to hook you. Is it not in the same Nigeria that we all got to hear yesterday that somebody was meant to go to jail, paid 15 million naira, and he was put in a flat? It's just the same thing. Exactly, it's just about us. It's about here.
Yes.
And if we don't find something to do to that, we'll come back here next year and we'll still be singing the same song. But that being said, with respect to crypto, I will start by asking us a question. Who among us here has a strong capacity, or maybe not strong, any capacity at all in cryptocurrencies? Can I see your answer?
Wrong.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the wrong demo.
That's what I'm coming to. That's what I'm coming to. Whether we like it or not, the world keeps changing. It keeps moving. At some point, all the digital things, fintech that we never had them. At some point, Nigeria came out with the digital currency. It is because of what when the world has got into. And long before now, some jurisdictions have encouraged others to embrace this digitization that was coming. Now, whether you like it or not, you cannot stop it. So it is better for you to embrace it, understand it, so you can regulate it. When crypto started, Nigerians were in Nigeria were buying crystals overseas. And they're still doing it till today. So at some point, the CBN came and said, yes, crypto is outlawed. But that was a wrong step. Instead of outlawing it, why don't you learn about it? Put people together, people who are doing it, let them talk to you. You can even bring people from abroad and get that knowledge. Because without that capacity, you don't even know what you're talking about. Yet, crypto is not for CBN to regulate. Because it's an asset, it's a security, which I can buy tomorrow, I can sell. So it's more like our shares. And that was why the SEC at the right point felt, okay, we need to take over these things. So what we have done now is to start to, well, we need some capacity building. I can bet you, I believe it's still not deep enough. We need to be, well, if not experts, to have a very good understanding. Our understanding is good, but it's not good enough. However, we cannot also move between being rookies today and by the next day we become experts. It has to take some time. So SEC has been coming up with different regulations. Today we have what they call the Accelerated Regulatory Incubation Program. What does that mean? You have some idea like that, you bring it to us. Let's work together and let's build it together and see how well it can work. Let us look at the shortcomings. What we had before was regulatory incubation, but we felt we can make it work. Because again, when I asked that, if there's anybody in this hall who has an idea of crypto, to raise up his hands, I wanted to bring home the fact that when we talk about cryptos, it's not real. It's the Gen Zs. They're the ones there, and they understand this thing. And whatever is not measured could go anywhere. Exchanges have gone bonkers. Exchanges have gone down in America. And when exchanges go down, you lose all your assets. And for us here, we have not even gotten to the level of sophistication that America has gotten to. But such things are happening. So that's why we're taking it one step at a time, to ensure that we don't rush into it and then expose our people to different kinds of scams, especially. Because just like our people are taking advantage of what we call funds management to do what we call Ponzi scheme too, which is due to ignorance. We do not want the same thing to happen in this other field because it's a more technical environment that you have to be careful with from the get-go. So whether we like it or not, we have to accept, embrace, and promote well and regulate cryptocurrencies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have any question from the audience before I hand up here?
Yeah, can I?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ray Echebiri. There's this question the moderator asked Professor Yaqub, and I think she skillfully touched it. So I'm going to ask her the same question again, and then ask Professor Akinleye the same question. Now, the moderator asked you to assess the current leadership of the CBN. You know, after all the movement around and around, and you said 50%. Pass mark. Are we looking for pass mark? If we are looking for pass mark, then we are not ready for any progress. We should be looking for excellent performance. Now, I think you will still come back to you after you come and explain. You explain that 50%, what you mean by 50%. But now let me ask Prof. Akinleye the same question. What do you think about the leadership, or what is the assessment of the leadership of the current Central Bank of Nigeria? Do you think the president did a good, made the right choice, did a good recruitment? If yes, explain. If no, explain. Please, don't be in the middle. Please don't be in the middle. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Let me just thank God my Agama will be coming after me, so she will complete my discussion. I will start out by saying, well, in my assessment, for one, I can say that the current headship of the CBN is less political and more professional than the immediate past administration. That's a plus. Two, you really cannot say plus or minus. You cannot say excellent or whatever for a process that is ongoing. I'll remind us of Mrs. Kemi Adeosun. When she was a minister, everybody had issues with her. And then the moment the madam, resigned and left, everybody wanted Mrs. Kemi Adeosun back. We all know the way certain, people dislike Buhari. When Tinubu came, what's the first thing we wanted? Baba Buhari come back. We voted out Jonathan. Now Jonathan is the saint that we want back in 2023. So the recruitment is positive or negative. Like I said, it's ongoing. I remember the first thing I said is that, like it or not, we're a nation undergoing transition. There's structural change going on in Nigeria. The subsidy state is disappearing. And everybody who has ever mentioned subsidy always said it would come with pay. But I'll just close out my response. I hope I've answered most. I'll close out my response by an experience of someone who saw an advert for a one-handed economist. He had his two hands, but he needed a job. So he applied, and he got to the final stage. And when you're having these interviews, one of the things they are asked is, okay, we've asked you questions. Do you have any question for us? So he says, yes, he has a question. And he's told to ask this question. I says, well, I saw the advert for a one-handed economist. I have two hands. I'm here today. Every other person in the reception has two hands. They are here today. Why do you want a one-handed economist? And the man said, yes, I insist that the person that was doing this job will always tell me, if on one hand, if we do A, this will happen. On the other hand, if we do B, this will happen. There is tired of this or that. There is just one that will say on one hand, and we will stop. And that is an economist for you. There is no perfect solution. We keep throwing things, and we hope that something works. Why do you feel inflation is still high? We've had two months of declining inflation. But for the recent, the recent reduction in petrol price, it was actually projected at some point that inflation could be around 23% by December. We'll have to go back to the model now to work in other things. So the jury is still out. I completely agree with Prof. Yaqub. Is above average. There is an A or B I cannot say, but it's above average, which is a far cry from being a failure. And considering what we went through under the regime of demonetization, I think I'm okay with above average. Thank you very much.
Okay, right before Prof intervene, I'd like to excuse the NCC team calling another assignment somewhere, Mr. Twindy Kimon. Thank you for your participation on this meeting. God bless you.
Thank you. Like Professor Akinleye said, as economists, there's no the answer. Yes. Because the outcome depends on assumptions and the underlying factors that are around. So, as a CBN governor, even if you put a moron there as a CBN governor, if you have your objective spelled out clearly and you have structures in place, that CBN governor will deliver. But as we have in Nigeria, many things are changing simultaneously. So for a CBN gov to deliver requires a lot. Because even as if he says this, people are already devising methods of circumventing those policies. So that is why it will be unfair for us to criticize the CBN governor based on outcome alone. What are the circumstances that is making the person to have that outcome? And that's why we said, the SEC said we have to be sincere to ourselves. The led and the leaders, are we sincere? That is the question. When they say don't bring cars through the land borders, I wanted to buy a car and I said, this is what I had. And somebody is telling me, don't worry, I will bring it in. With this same economy. I said, this is a big risk for me. He said, it is not a risk. He's been doing it. How do we want policies to work? These are things that we have not addressed. Okada is banned on these highways. But you see, Okada riders, they are there, not only are they there, they are also facing traffic. So those are issues in Nigeria. And that's why it's difficult to just blame anybody. We all have to change our mindset to be able to get the results that we want. CBN governor or not, CBN governors will be appointed, and there's no way you can be appointed without being criticized. It's either is from the village of the president, or is his cousin, or is related to his wife, or he belongs to his political party. They will be related in one way or the other. So there's no way you can erase that. We are all Nigerians. And if I want to find reason to fault your appointment, I always find reason. But we have to be truthful enough to assess people on how capable are they. Not because they are related. They can be related to the person, but if the person is capable, fine, let the person do. That is what is important. Merit, quality, and not unnecessary criticisms. And one other thing about us is that we have become professional critics or professional opposition. If it is not my party, it cannot be good. And that is killing us as a nation. Before APC came on board, whatever PDP does cannot be good. Now that APC is on board, whatever it does, PDP will see it as it can never be good. We have to drop that idea. We must all know that Nigeria belongs to all of us. And the success of Nigeria is our success. So we need to cooperate to be able to move this nation forward. Enough of criticisms. Enough. If we can criticize, but we should be constructive in our criticism, not with the intention of destroying. If we continue to have that in mind, we won't achieve. No, even if you bring an angel, we will still not achieve in this country. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. You know, we like to talk. And we know the problem. There's an elephant in the room in Nigeria. You don't want to talk about it. I'm shocked that nobody here can be shocked. Some people have placed it. But that elephant is called corruption. Until we kill corruption in the system, it is possible for this country to be great. And that is the message we should put in our summit like this. That we should kill corruption. And it must start from leadership. It's not from Okada Rider, please. Okada Rider can ride here because he knows that his boss, most of them have Okada Riders. The army, police, they will need a uniform, they want to make it. And when the other person accosts them on the way, they bring out the ID card. What do you call it? It's a, what do you call that at the spirit call? And they let him go. There's an elephant in the room in Nigeria. The world knows it too. So you cannot come here and be pretending like an ostrich. We can't bury our head in the sand. We can't be playing the puzzle. That is me. I am blunt. The way I talk is the way I write. The elephant in the room must be killed. The corruption in subsidy. Subsidy is a good thing. America subsidizes. Euro subsidizes. Asia subsidizes for the people. Don't tell me that subsidies are corruption. It can never be a problem. Why do you have good oil? Why did God bless us? It's for your good, for my good. But in that subsidy is a huge amount, the high velocity of corruption. Sanusi, one of the best CBN governors this country has ever had, because of his independence, his ability to speak through the bar, he was the one that said there's money missing. It was removed because he said there was money missing. But Sanusi said something like was CBN governor. He said that he has seen documents that say that 15 ships better at port. 15 ships in 1 year. But we did documentation that they all arrived. We did documentation we went to collect money for people that was sourcing. If we kill corruption, and the president of the country must start killing corruption in his family, in his caucus, then it will trickle down to the governors. If we see one president that can do that, just one, every other person will follow for the line. Don't tell me it's because the Nigerian system. It's a system because the man I talk has allowed it. Corruption is not just the government. Corruption is when you promote a mediocre over somebody who has an excellent grade. The endemic and pandemic corruption we have in this country is our problem. We Nigerians must start crying that this thing must start from the top. If we kill corruption, the president, if you have a president, it's not the president who cannot fight corruption. Jonathan was too weak, he should be sent ice cream. See, I have the only good president that has is 1999, so Yaqub justice. He is the one that has the heart. He call it a leader that is just policies when people are shouting can not lead us. We need a courageous, brave leader. I will say, thus far, nobody steals. Even my wife cannot steal. My children cannot steal. If we have that, look what you did it in Singapore. Nigeria was not at the stage of Singapore. Singapore was in ruins from the war. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call you Professor too now. You should take the but I'm going to respond to the comment, which I did very correct. But before I do, if we listen to Professor Yaqub just now, she said she wanted to buy a car and bring it in. And somebody said, I can bring it in through the land border. So how did it end? Because I know the car was bought.
It was a big risk I didn't take.
So you didn't buy the car? And we are going to communicate.
I'm afraid I didn't want my money to go down.
However, everything you have said, sir, is correct. It's very correct. And if you're listening to us earlier, well, we mentioned the fact of pervasive greed and corruption, which now has lost control. Nobody is able to put a break on it. However, if we say should start with the government, the chain should start with the government, it won't work. Because everybody is now in the loop. It is like a disease that has entered into our bodies. And if you see that if I do it, or somebody did it yesterday, and nothing happened to him, today is living life, why should that impunity? And we are only able to single out the uniform men because we see them. Everybody in this room has to do the spirit they come. Everybody. I want to do something. I talked to my friend. I said, he just send the boy to me. And they go, they bypass the road and get it done. That is the spirit they come. That is because it's my friend. So the country has become, if somebody I know commits a wrong, he goes country. But the man I don't know commits a wrong, he still goes, but he pays for it. Which is the same thing. One pays with friendship, one pays with money. It's still corruption. However, my final word will be this. Let us endeavor from our own little homes, from our own selves, to start the change. Because if we don't start that change with ourselves, we can never ask our government questions. Because they've already put a lot of our consciences. So let the change, like they say, begin with me and you.
That's why it has no worked, sir. With all due respect. This idea of change, sorry, please say something, please. That is the problem I have with coming to debate. We are here to talk. We all go to summits outside the country. If the leader is corrupt, the led must be corrupt. It's standard. But if there is a leader, if the governor of the state says, I won't steal a penny, that state will work. The leader must start it too. If I started it, it's not only one. GP started, Chairman Mao built China, or built the foundation for China. The China that we all go and import also now. All the places we run to, Canada, US, UK, because there's no impunity there. That is why law and order is supreme. And who enforces the law? The leader, the head, the UK Prime Minister, US President. We were watching Bill Clinton before he can start because of Monica Lewinsky. We were watching like soap opera. The system punishes people because the leader is not above the law. Nigeria is a place where president is above the law, governor is above the law, senator breaks traffic, get accident and flies out of the country to treat just like me. There's something wrong for our own. We must hold our leadership responsible. I'm a journalist. I'm the only person licensed as a journalist. They will hold public actors to account to the people that employ them. That's why I speak this way. I'm a person, I'm not an indolent, lazy-headed, or dim-witted journalist. I'm an active journalist, and I'm proudly so. So when I say the things I see it because other people have done it. UK Prime Minister can steal a company. No. We just had what happened. Just gift. If you do it, the law will bring you down, man. You're under the law. Doesn't matter president or prime minister. So we have to start with the head. Let us start singing the same chorus. What the leader tells us that it starts, change begins with you. Forget it. It starts with the leader. If we all say it, that it must start with the president, start with the governor, the leaders. It will trickle down. We are not saying the same thing. Okay. And they are taking advantage of that we are not singing.
I think we all agree with you on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jay, you see your income. That's what we can. The last man.
It's the last man.
Yes, let me commend the resource person. I acknowledge your contributions. Very fantastic, very deep. But there is something that I just want to pick from this, before I make my observation, is that most of these things you are raising, perhaps that is nothing new. The same thing perhaps said 5-10 years ago, the same way I also said. And I want to assure you, in the next 2-3 years to come, to still say the same. The one thing I want to pick out from what Brother Yaqub said, you kept on saying Omolara, which I agree with you. You know, and what you were saying here, I kept on repeating, I think also interject your delivery, that which platform? You know, when intellectual or when we are in a kind of setting like this, I think we should also be able to come up with a solution. You know, if you are saying there was a dialogue, don't let us leave it hanging. You know, okay, we dialogue. We are dialoguing here. If we keep on recommending a platform, fine. We have a lot of platforms existing now. We have the NEST. We have other ones. We are not asking politicians to set up platforms. Because if politicians will set up platforms, you can easily predict the outcome. I'm very sure. So now one can also try something. If we set up a platform perhaps among professionals, maybe that could be the AK-47 we need to beat the corruption. Or maybe another government paragraph. Because if something is not done, we just remain at the level and dialoguing, and nothing will be done. Praise the Lord. Sorry about that. Thank you. On this note, Professor Akinleye, thank you very much for your contributions. Professor, thank you very much for your contributions. And my brother here said, thank you for your contributions. They have been very valuable. I would say that the minds are very frank. You may not agree with their position when they have said what they believe is the right thing to say. So I thank you for coming, and for the audience too, I thank you for cooperating with us on this side. We hope to see you next year.